Good morning. Happy Friday to you. You're watching All You Need to Know on Bloomberg Quint Live, and I'm Alex Matthew. First, the headlines this morning. The BJP crosses the 300 mark on its own, taking the NDA's count to 350. Prime Minister Modi says the fake tag of secularism failed to win votes for the opposition. Market leaders welcome the verdict, say it's crucial that the government sticks to its stated plan of divestment and infrastructure spending. Nippon Life and other financial investors will buy out Reliance Capital's stake in the mutual fund joint venture for around 6,000 crore rupees. Higher coking coal costs and lower realizations may hurt JSW Steel in the fourth quarter, and Asian markets are set to end the week on a negative note as trade tensions intensify. US crude prices too fell below the $60 per barrel mark. Let's talk about the big verdict yesterday. India has voted Narendra Modi and his National Democratic Alliance back to power with a resounding mandate. The ruling coalition not only extended its lead over the opposition, the Bharatiya Janata Party by itself won an absolute majority in the Lok Sabha for the second time in a row. This time it crossed the 300 mark. Kaushik Vaidya tells us where this strength is coming from and what it means for policy making at the centre over the next 5 years.
Voters in India's 17th Lok Sabha election have kept Prime Minister Narendra Modi at 7 Lok Kalyan mark with a mandate that's bigger than what he won in 2014. The NDA has crossed the 350 mark against 336, 337 it got last time. Far from the Congress crossing into 3 digits for the second election in a row, the UPA as an alliance has remained in double digits. Let's take you through how some of the key states played out. In Uttar Pradesh, the BJP was up against the SP-BSP combined. How far was that going to eat into the BJP's tally? Not too much. From 73 the last time, the NDA was still able to notch up 64. That gap of 9 was more than covered by the fact that in West Bengal, the BJP has gone into uncharted territory. From 36 that the Trinamool Congress won the last time, that's gone down to 22, and the BJP and the NDA has been able to notch up 18 wins. In the state of Orissa, Naveen Patnaik might be Chief Minister for the 5th time, but he's had to cede space to the BJP, notching up 8 wins over there. In a number of states across the country, in Karnataka, for example, the BJP has been able to ramp up its performance. It won 17 seats the last time, it's won 25 right now. In a state like Haryana again, it won 7 seats the last time, it's won 10 seats right now. Then we get to the states that the BJP had maxed out the last time and has been able to repeat that performance. 26 out of 26 in Gujarat in 2014, 26 out of 26 in Gujarat in 2019. Same with the state of Rajasthan. 25 out of 25 in 2014, 25 out of 25 in 2019. That pattern extends itself into Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, where in Himachal the 5 seats and Uttarakhand the 4 seats, all 9 going to the NDA. In the state of Bihar, Nitish Kumar came back into the NDA about 2 years ago, and you had that playing out in a near wipeout of the combine of the RJD and the Congress being reduced to 1 seat, and the NDA taking practically all the other seats in the state. In the state of Assam, again, the BJP has been able to ramp up its tally. It won 7 seats the last time, it's won 9 seats this time. So how does all of this play out come the next Lok Sabha when it convenes? The BJP right now with its allies is at a tally that's over 350. When key legislation comes around, you might even see support being extended like it has over the last couple of years from a certain set of friendly parties. You've had Jagan Reddy sweep the Assembly and the Lok Sabha elections, and that might be support that the BJP might fetch out and get from him. That takes it to 376. Perhaps K. Chandrasekhar Rao and the TRS, you add that to, you take it to 385. At times, the BJD has been friendly to the BJP, and you reach a number close to 400. How far is the opposition from blocking any legislation that the BJP moves in the Lok Sabha? Let's tally that for you. On the UPS side, even if you add the SP-BSP combined, the Trinamool, the left, and the TDP is now down to 3 seats, that's 400 to 134. So you have a clear path for legislation for the NDA when the 17th Lok Sabha convenes in a few weeks from now.
All right. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who addressed party workers late last evening after the BJP's thumping win, said that he will forever be indebted to the citizens of the country for reposing faith in him. He promised to take India to glorious heights in the next 5 years. Listen in.
30 साल तक लगातार देश में विशेष रूप से, वैसे ये ड्रामेबाजी तो लंबे समय से चल रही है, एक ऐसा प्रिंट आउट, एक ऐसा टैग फैशन हो गई थी, कुछ भी करो उसको लगा लो, आपके गंगा स्नान करने जितना पुण्य मिल जाता था। उस टैग का नाम था, और पूरी तरह नकली, उस टैग का नाम था सेक्युलरिज्म। और नारे लगते थे, सेक्युलर एक हो जाओ, सेक्युलर एक हो जाओ। आपने देखा होगा 2014 से 19 आते आते उस पूरी जमात ने बोलना ही बंद कर दिया। इस चुनाव में एक भी राजनीतिक दल सेक्युलरिज्म का ये नकाब पहन करके देश को गुमराह करने की हिम्मत नहीं कर पाया है। हिंदुस्तान में कोई चुनाव ऐसा नहीं गया जिसके केंद्र बिंदु में महंगाई न रही हो। ये चुनाव ऐसा है जहां महंगाई, एक भी विरोधी दल ने आरोप नहीं लगाया। ये चुनाव ऐसा है कि जिसमें हिंदुस्तान के पिछले कोई भी चुनाव उठा लीजिए, सब चुनाव भ्रष्टाचार के मुद्दे से रंगे गए थे। भ्रष्टाचार के मुद्दों पर चुनाव लड़े गए थे, भ्रष्टाचार के मुद्दे पर जवाब देने पड़े थे। ये पहला चुनाव था जिसमें इस देश का कोई राजनीतिक दल 5 साल के शासन पर भ्रष्टाचार का एक आरोप नहीं लगा पाया, चुनाव का एक मुद्दा नहीं। इस चुनाव में मिसिंग थी, और इसलिए पॉलिटिकल पंडितों को समझ नहीं आ रहा था किस तराजू से चीजों को तोला जाए।
All right, now you may be forgiven for really focusing on the election, but there's a lot more happening outside the boundaries of India. Let's take a look at the global markets as well. US markets, remember, yesterday closed lower, all three benchmarks, in fact, ending in the red, close to 0.3, 0.4%. The trade tension seems to be a bit of a concern even now. Let's go across to the Asian markets, though, and talk to Sophie Komruddin, who's joining us live from the Hong Kong studios, Bloomberg's Hong Kong studios. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Sophie. Good morning. How are you looking at Asia this morning?
Well, the morning has been decidedly risk-off in Asia, with stocks broadly sliding, on track for a third week of losses. Now looking more mixed, with Greater China markets coming online. And in the bond space, we are seeing yields sink to multi-year lows across the region after benchmark treasury rates fell to a 2017 low overnight. And we are seeing moves in Aussie debt markets, Aussie bond yields, and the Aussie dollar deepening declines after Westpac upped its forecast for RBA easing, seeing 3 rate cuts from the central bank this year. And the ASX 200 being weighed by energy shares this morning, with oil set for the biggest weekly drop of the year. Now, for a gauge of risk sentiment, checking in on the yen sticking below 110, while the Chinese yuan is holding steady, with the PBOC keeping its daily fixing stronger than 690. And in equity markets, Chinese stocks coming online higher, with the CSI 300 gaining 1% after a 2-day decline. And beleaguered Chinese stocks listed here in Hong Kong also taking a bit of a breather from the intense selling momentum, which this week hit the most intense level since June. And elsewhere, Japanese shares are falling for a 4th straight day, with all but 2 of the 33 industry groups on the topics on the retreat. And over in Seoul, the Kospi being weighed by Samsung amid reports the company has been asked by the U.S. to join the Huawei boycott. So not much of the TGIF vibes being seen this Friday. Back to you.
Thanks so much for that, Sophie. Well, Agam Vakil is joining me now to tell you all about the trade setup for the day in India, and also what's happening in the futures and options space. Agam, well, Sophie said about Asia not feeling the TGIF feel. Perhaps we will here after yesterday's event. Yesterday was a bit of a roller coaster in the markets, though.
Yeah. Well, I would be doubtful of that, Alex, because what we saw was, once the event was out and once markets had an idea about what they were already suspecting, we saw about a profit taking. And that could very well play out today, because we all know that, well, valuations, at least according to a lot of analysts, are pretty lofty at these levels. And we did hit new life highs yesterday with very crucial levels being taken out. SGX Nifty may be indicating a positive start, but we're going to have to wait and watch as to how things develop through the course of the day. Now, yesterday, as I was suggesting, we did see the cut coming for the Nifty. In fact, at one point in time, it was also down as much as 100 points. Mid-cap and small-cap indices, well, mixed moves coming in. But the Nifty banking indices, again, marginal moves. But coming down to ADRs for now, looking at some weakness in HDFC Bank and Vedanta, among others. We also have some traction in ICICI Bank. But coming down to your FII flows, okay, so this is perhaps a positive, considering will the FIIs think that a stable government is good, and which is why they have once again moved back in, put in some money, this time 1,300 crores worth, and DIs on the other hand selling stock worth 593 odd crores. Now, coming to contributors, we're keeping an eye on something like well, the financials in general had a mixed day of trade. So while we saw gains in IndusInd Bank and ICICI Bank, there were also losses for HDFC Bank and HDFC Limited. But as far as the futures and options space goes, again, what we saw was unwinding, and this was largely on expected lines, considering the positions being taken over the last 5 days. We did see some come off there. And the Nifty banking futures, on the other hand, saw, well, addition in open interest, not necessarily towards shorts though. And moving on, as far as your open interest distribution is concerned, this is the May 30th OI. The only thing that is the most around here is the 12,000 mark, which has the most amount of accumulation in OI. Moving on. We can also talk about the open interest change, and we do have a little more writing around the 12,000 mark on expected lines. As far as the put call ratio, okay, so that, of course, well, this was not unexpected. So the VIX came off substantially, down 30%. Again, very much in line. I reckon a lot of traders out there must have gone ahead and sold options, specifically calls on the upper level, and which is why you're seeing the result in VIX come up by as much as 19. As far as the put call ratio goes, at a very neutral level of 1. And finally, coming down to stocks, Adani Power, IDBI Bank in the F&O band, along with, you have Reliance Capital, which moves out of the band. So keep an eye on that one as well. And as far as other stocks go, Bank of Baroda, Ujjivan Financial and Hexaware remain in focus. And unwinding, we have Sun TV, Cipla and Reliance Capital. Keep an eye on Sun TV, because you got a disappointing set of earnings and it's likely to react today, Alex.
Thanks so much for that, Agam. But let's have a look at what's making headlines across the globe. In fact, let's look at what the market, let's look at what the market experts said with regard to the elections and what the road is ahead for the Indian markets.
Mr. Modi is a man who has given economic development both in Gujarat and India the utmost importance with fiscal responsibility. Don't forget that India is facing a fiscally difficult situation. But I think we will manage good economic policies.
Get a crack team, yaar. Get a crack team, yeah, because they're the guys who are going to do the job.
Okay.
So I'm looking at from my company point of view. If I get a good leader for, say, I'm running 5 businesses, 7 businesses. If I've got 7 leaders, I'm home. I don't have to come to office.
Okay.
I'll have time to go to for visits and lecture baji and a whole lot of things.
Okay.
So that freedom comes only when my teammates are doing very well.
Okay.
Okay. So creating that crack team, and India has that opportunity, and I mean he should.
And the brain trust to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is one. Once that is done, then I mean why one? I mean why infrastructure only? Why not tourism? Why not foreign trade?
No, but these are
Why
hopes.
Today we are talking all hopes with from the new second team.
Okay.
Why not 2 centuries? Why only 1?
Okay.
You know, so I would expect that every single batsman you choose, he will bat for 50 or 100 or whatever. Let it be 220. So at least the hope is that these kind of things will happen. But we know that, I mean, there are always constraints of execution, constraints of people, constraints of some political compulsions are there. So those things will happen, but I think it's on the whole, it's a fantastic day.
There is an opportunity to build on the reforms of this government in the next few years, because the last innings of this government, they did undertake a lot of reforms like GST and IBC. So the market, the investors truly believe that these reforms can be built upon and take the economy forward. Obviously, like any other government, they have a long agenda ahead of them. They have a lot of issues and challenges with them. But overall, I think there is a clear sense of excitement, clear sense of relief that we will not have chaos, we will have stability going forward. And India is at a very important point, because I think our economy has slowed down in the last couple of quarters. So we needed a strong and decisive government, and I think that is what we have got.
Our growth should be number one priority, because that will drive everything else. And for driving growth, I think government should focus on infrastructure, where a lot more capital can be directed. A lot more liberal policies on foreign capital can attract capital. Our Prime Minister has a very good relationship with Japan, which can be a big investor in the country. So infrastructure investment. Third is private sector capex, which has been a bit of a disappointment throughout the last 5 years, and that will need a lot of tax reforms, because to get private sector entrepreneurs, our tax reforms will play an important role. And then NBFC liquidity issue also has to be addressed. Although no NBFC is defaulted, but the fact of the matter is that many NBFCs have slowed down disbursement, which is impacting FMCG and automobile growth as well. So I think this should be another important area. And of course, one of the bigger and longer term, very important area for government to take care in the next 5 years in a much bolder way, because now they have a stable and a clear mandate, is the PSU banks. They need recapitalization, but that's not the only solution. They also need bolder privatization. So privatization of PSU banks, or at least steps towards that, and also raising capital in a good market through privatization and using that capital for infra and agriculture.
We have to focus on strategic divestment of government assets, monetization of government resources, so that there is adequate resources for investment in infrastructure, and at the same time the path of fiscal prudence is not forgotten. The other thing which we have to do is to support Make in India, or to encourage manufacturing in India. Over the last few years, our trade deficit with China has gone up substantially. Of course, there are some items which we have to import from China, but there are few items which we can afford not to import from China, which will encourage local manufacturing. How do we continue to improve ease of doing business? How do we encourage businessmen to go for productivity and scale? How the infrastructure built in terms of road and railway over the last 5 years can support Make in India. What we have done in telecom sector, where from 2 factories before 2014 to 120 factories today, including the world's largest mobile handset plant at Noida by Samsung, how do we replicate that in other sector? So there is a chart or a path for the new government to take on based on the gains or foundation laid out in the previous year, so that our economic growth moves into double digit rather than into around 7%.
All right, let's go to Darshan Mehta now. He's joining us to tell you all about the stocks and news. Morning, Darshan. What's on your list today?
Yeah, so good morning, Alex. Yesterday it was hogged by the election, but some companies did manage to come out with their numbers. Sun TV, for one, disappointed as far as earnings were concerned. The results were below estimates. The movie revenues and part of IPL were booked, and that aided the financials of the company. Profit was missing on account of higher movie monetization this time around. The new TRI norms that have come out, that has actually impacted the revenues has impacted the TV business of the company. The management continues to be optimistic on the digitization upside. E-Clerks revenues up 1%, EBITDA down 1%, net profit was down 8%, other income was down 40%, and that is why profits were down significantly. The outlook remains cloudy for Plainful transition, and CLSA has said that margins have rebounded but will remain volatile till the on-site reaches scale. The other one was Novartis, revenues down 12%, net profit down 26% on low other income. The EBITDA was at 20 crores versus a loss last time around on back of cost controls. Healthcare Global, revenues up 17%, EBITDA was flat at 3%, net loss of 9 crores versus a profit last time around. Eros Media also revenues down 6%, net profit was up 14%, EBITDA was down 31%, and the only reason profit was up because other income doubled this time around. In terms of other stocks, Reliance Capital plans to sell 8.7% stake in Arnam worth 1155 crore. The OFS for 5.3 crore shares will be done at 218, which is a discount of 8%. Suwari Agrochemicals, ICRA has downgraded both the short-term and long-term funds worth to default rating. And finally, Radico Khaitan Pollution Control Board revokes the closure direction on the company's UP plant.
All right, thanks so much for that, Darshan. Well, clearly lots of stocks that you have to look forward to in trade today. In case you want to have a look at some of those comments by the market experts that spoke yesterday in more detail, they're all available on the website bloombergquint.com, and some of the analysis of yesterday's event. But let me take you through a couple of other stories that you'll find if you look up the website bloombergquint.com. First up, ratings agency Moody's has said that its credit view on India will depend on policies of the new government, and expressed hope that the country will continue with its fiscal consolidation plan. And Facebook said it removed 2.2 billion fake accounts in the first quarter, a record that shows how the company is battling an avalanche of bad actors trying to undermine the authenticity of the world's largest social network. Now, if you are watching this program on any of our social media platforms and you haven't subscribed yet, perhaps you should consider doing that. Also, if you haven't visited the website, this is a great opportunity to do so. Thanks so much for watching. This is Bloomberg Quint.